Welcome back to another episode of the Elevated Chat Room. Elevate your mind, elevate your life. It's your host, Lonzo Jones. I am back. Last week, I was actually a guest on our own show. Yeah. But tonight, let me tell you what the topic is. Built with passion, fueled by purpose. We have a special guest with us on tonight, Ms. Lindsay Hughes. She is the owner of Modern Academy Cosmetology. All right, Ms. Lindsay, tell them a little bit more about yourself.
I am Lindsay Hughes. I am 32 years old. I grew up in the Shoals area. I've been here my entire life. I am a cosmetologist instructor. So I have 3 salons and 1 cosmetology school. And how I kind of got into that, I started in high school, my senior year of high school. I decided I wanted to do cosmetology. And I started going just because I had enough credits in high school. I didn't have anything else to do. So I was like, it might be fun to do this and just to do something a little different. So I had really no interest in it, but it was just kind of something to fill my plate for my senior year. So I go and I do that, and I decide that I really like it. And after cosmetology in high school, I went to this little hole-in-the-wall, small cosmetology school in downtown Florence. It had been there for decades. And what they were used to was mainly just preparing you for state board. So, and a lot of cosmetology schools are that way. It's very just state board. You're not getting a whole lot of salon experience, and you're not behind the chair a lot. And if you are, you're mostly doing basic things to just get you through the program, to get your mark-offs, to do your worksheet. So that was kind of the moment for me. I knew, I was like, I want to do something more with this. I think there could be more. I think that there is something behind all of this, and that's kind of what sparked me wanting to move forward with the cosmetology school and the salons. Okay. So I started in a salon right after that. This was 2011. Graduated, started in a salon, and I didn't really know anything because, like I said, school had just prepared me basically for state board. Yeah. So it was really hard. It was tough. I struggled behind the chair, and I had a lot of friends that went to the same school, and not just that school, but I knew people from other schools in the area, and they struggled a lot. So I was like, this could be a thing. So in 2014, I went to instructor school at Drake State Community College in Huntsville. And Drake was amazing. I loved everything about it. I loved my instructors there. They really taught me a lot, and I got a lot out of that program. I brought that back home to Florence, and I decided I was going to open a school. So here we are, years later. I opened my cosmetology school in 2017 in downtown Sheffield. I was there for almost 8 years. And we just moved to downtown Florence. We've been in downtown Florence since October of 2024. And I opened 3 salons in 2023. So that's kind of how we got there, where we're at. But it's been fun. It's been an interesting journey.
So what is it about doing hair? Or hold on, let me ask you this before we answer that.
Yeah.
Is cosmetology just hair, or is it nails, hair? What all does cosmetology include?
So cosmetology is a branch of hair, skin, and nails. Okay. So a lot of people think that a cosmetologist can just do hair.
Right.
Because cosmetology schools do mainly focus on the hair side of it. So at my cosmetology school, we have different programs that we offer. We have a manicurist program, a aesthetics program, cosmetology program, barbering, natural hairstyling. So you can decide if you don't want to do hair. I didn't have that option. I had to do cosmetology.
Okay.
And a lot of schools are that way. They only have the cosmetology program. But we branched out, and we now have all the different programs. So if you don't want to do hair, you can just do aesthetics and do skin, or you can just do nails and do the nail program. But yeah, cosmetology is the full hair, skin, and nails.
Okay. So with doing hair, like does your school teaches you how to do all types of hair and like extensions, wigs, all that kind of stuff? So they learn everything.
Yes.
That's what's up.
Yes.
That's pretty
So
unique.
we just started the natural hairstyling program, and I have been very excited about it as well because where I don't know as much about doing braids and I don't know, braids, and I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff that they do. Those things, like, I don't specialize in. So it's great for us to say, hey, there's someone here with natural hair and they're wanting, a relaxer, something that I wouldn't feel as comfortable doing. I do have an instructor there that's in charge of that, and she's been doing natural hair for, 20 plus years. So it's good to have that. And I'm very, very excited for that program.
Now, do you still participate in doing hair and everything, actually involved, or you just kind of manage and sit back and be a boss?
I am behind the chair on Mondays and Fridays in one of my salons.
Okay.
And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm at the school, and I try to teach with cosmetology as much as I can, but I am mostly behind the scenes.
Okay. That's how it is when you become, the owner.
Yeah, it's hard. Nobody talks about the transition from going from doing what you love and being so involved to how hard it is. It is very, very difficult to take a step back and let somebody. I had somebody ask me one time, they were like, "Are you a control freak?" And I was like, no, like, I've never been the type, like, this is my way or no way.
Yeah.
That's not me at all. I'm very open to ideas, and but it's like you lose a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Because you have to take a step back. And it's like you love what you do so much that you watch another person do it, and you're like, dang, I wish that was me. I wish I was out there on the floor doing hair, and, but you have to take a step back and do the important stuff.
I wonder, have you seen a lot of changes in, different styles of, hair or designs or styles over the past 10 years? Has it been a big
yes. Yes, for sure. And it's funny because as an instructor, you have to adapt, and you have to make sure that your instructors are adapting as well. So I have a team of about 10 right now, and I have to make sure that, my barber and he kills it. He's amazing. He is doing all the trendy things. Same with my nail instructor. I have to make sure that she's up to date on things, and same for her. Like, she's amazing.
Okay.
I could never do what they do. But yeah, we have to make sure that we're up to date on things and going to shows and doing all the behind the scenes things that, people don't see us do, taking online courses and things like that.
I know at one point in time I had dreads. And when I had dreads, it was probably about 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
Like, if you got dreads then, it was like once they locked, that was it.
Yeah.
Now I've seen videos where they've come up with tools and ways to unlock your dreads.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing the new things that they come up with, with technology or with just studying hair and being around hair as much. I was like, how can you take a dreadlock and undo it? Yeah.
That's what I was trying to think of. Our natural hairstyling program, they do dreads.
Okay, yeah.
So they do the locks and the retwist and all that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's amazing to have them there and to watch them and to just see like that side of things.
Yeah.
Because even though I've been in the industry since 2010, 2011, it's different. And it's like a side of hair that has always been around, but I've really never been around it.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
it's fun for us too. So we get to see that.
Now, you may have mentioned this in your talk earlier, but what was the turning point that made you realize teaching cosmetology was your true calling?
I believe it was the school that I went to, and not the school that I went to. I think knowing schools in general, because like I said, I had I had friends that went to schools in Huntsville or Athens, Decatur, and it was still kind of the same thing across the board. It was like they were preparing for state board, but when we got out, we didn't know how to do hair. And I was like, there needs to be a change in that because you don't feel confident. It's not just about us not knowing how to do hair. It's about the confidence side of things. And it's like you lose all of the want to, and you lose that spark that you really had. And that's a hard thing to go through.
Yeah.
And I didn't want anybody else to have to experience that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you definitely love what you do.
Yes, I do. I really do.
Do you have many headaches running all that you're doing, or does it kind of most of the time flow kind of smoothly?
I feel like I thrive off of chaos. So I feel like it flows. I don't know from an outsider's point of view if I look like I flow, but I feel like everything kind of flows, and it's, it just happens the way it does. And if there's a hiccup, we handle it.
Yeah.
I try not to stress out too much, because in my head, I'm like, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
You can only fix so much. So we can fix what we can fix, and we can't fix certain things. And that's just how it is.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Now, what you've been owning hair salons and hair salon school or cosmetology school, do you always have your makeup and your hair done and your nails done? Do you always look like, someone that stepped out of a chair?
Yes.
Or do you have days where it's just like, whatever? Or you always want to look like, what your service provides?
I would say 95% of the time I try to be put together.
Yeah.
I don't think any of my students have ever seen me without makeup on. Hair is always done. Yeah, I try to be an example to them.
Yeah.
So I try to say, you don't have to look like you just stepped out of a magazine, but if you go to a dentist that has bad teeth, you don't want that dentist to do your teeth.
Exactly.
So if we are rolling in pajama pants and a t-shirt, no makeup on, our hair's not done, the reality of it is that we are in the beauty industry.
Mm-hmm.
And as an administrator, it is very, very hard to address someone's appearance without it being personal.
Yeah.
So I just have to remind them, and I try to instill that within them within the first few days of like orientation and going through, getting situated your first couple of days, that this is what we do.
Yeah.
And this is why it's so important to look the part, because if you're not confident, your clients aren't going to be confident.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, do you do your own hair, or you sit
I
down?
do not.
Okay.
Well, I did the last time. I just popped a few folds around my face, but my one of my coworkers,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
she does it in the salon.
All right. So now, how do you help your students not only learn the craft, but also believe in themselves and their future?
I think it goes back to day one, instilling things in them, positive affirmation, letting them know that one mistake does not define your career, because it is very, very hard during those first few months of school to have a bad experience or a bad client, or something just go wrong. You might have a bad day.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to get in your own head and think, okay, this is not what I want to do. And you can't let those days make or break you. Those days have to push you to be better.
Yeah.
So we do a mission statement on the first day, and that mission statement is put in the front of their binder, and it's for them only to see. But I tell them, put it where you can see it, and know that if you have a bad day, you can go back, look at that mission statement and say, this is my why. This is what I'm doing.
That's good.
This is important. And just take you back to that.
That's good.
Because you're not discouraged on the first day. Nobody is.
Right. You super excited. It's like, oh,
Yes.
got this new thing I'm
So I tell
trying,
them, just pour it out. Put it all on paper and let that be, how you feel, and read that if you have a bad day.
Well, that's good. It serves as a check mark or
Yes.
checkpoint. Like, hey, let me go back and basically look and see, oh, you know what? This is why I'm doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we always talk about a why, especially in the motivational world. It's like, what's your why? What's your reason behind
Yes.
what you're doing? And it has to be so strong that when you feel like quitting, it pretty much stops you. It freezes you from throwing in the towel.
Right.
And so, yeah, we believe in having a why, and it is super important that the why is actually not tied to money.
Right. Yes.
Because like, so what happens when you make the money? What are you going to do with the money?
Yes.
You know, it's more important than just making the money. So what's the purpose behind, you know, the money? So we definitely believe in the why.
Yeah.
All right. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever had some of your students come to you and they're ready to quit and you just on the spot had to give them some type of
Yes.
word or motivation?
Yes.
What was that like?
It's hard as an instructor because you see so much potential in them that they don't see in themselves. Yeah. And I go back to that mission statement and I'm like, pull it out, read it. They also write themselves a letter on the first day of school. Mm-hmm. We put it in their folder, and then the last day of school, we give it back to them.
Nice.
So if it is to the point that they're ready to just crash out, I'm done, I'll hand them that letter. And I'm like, read this. Figure out remember why you're here. Mm-hmm. I want you to really go back to that first day. And also if they're halfway through their program, say they're so many hours in.
Yeah.
And there's so many months in. And I'm like, think about how far you've come. But in their head, all they can see is how long it's going to take me to finish.
Yes.
That's hard.
How long is the program?
So they're all different.
Okay.
The state of Alabama regulates the hours and how many hours they have to have. So every program is different. Natural hairstyling is the quickest, which I think is amazing. You only have to come for like a month and a half, 2 months.
Okay.
And you're finished with the program. Cosmetology is the longest. So they are the ones that experience burnout the most. They're the ones that you have to really like reel them back in.
Yeah.
That program is 10 months, 10 to 11.
Yeah.
For our full-time people. For our part-time people, it's 16 months.
Wow.
So both are under a year and a half.
Yeah.
But it's still difficult.
So what about the people that does hair their home? Like with no type of certificate, but they're just good at what they do. Like, how does that supposed to work?
That's a like licensing. That's an Alabama, you know, it's like you're taking that chance. Like I might get in trouble, I might not.
Gotcha.
To me, it's like a peace of mind to know that I have a license.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are seeing that, especially with our natural hairstyling. They do a lot of at-home hair.
Yeah.
And they've been braiding without license and they've been doing dreads without license. They're like, we don't need a license. When in reality, and they're so talented, so good at doing things that I personally could not do. But I think now they're realizing, oh, that program is only a month and a half or 2 months long. Like, let me go and get it done, check it off my list. And then I don't have to worry about if state board comes in to where I'm working and I get in trouble.
Gotcha.
You know?
Well, I just thought it was interesting because I know when I was in high school, I had a fro. And so I used to get braids all the time. And I don't think I ever went to a shop when I was in high school. I don't think I ever went to a shop unless it was to get my dreads done when I was doing that. But getting braids, it was always like a friend or a friend of the family or somebody that we knew that braided hair. They would come over to our house and we'll meet them at their house and we'll sit on the floor and they braid it up.
Yeah.
You know?
You see a lot of that with nails too, surprisingly.
Nails?
Yes.
Oh.
Nail shops, a lot of them aren't licensed. So like I said, to me, it's like driving a car without a license.
Okay.
It's like, to me, it's like I have that peace of mind knowing that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Or I have the license I'm supposed to have. I'm not going to get in trouble or, you know, banned from doing this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing it the correct way.
Okay.
So kind of the same thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what does the phrase "built with passion, fueled by purpose" mean to you personally and professionally? That's built with passion, fueled by purpose.
Built by passion, fueled by purpose. I believe that you're starting this for a reason, and it could be your family does it. It could be that it's just sparked and it's an idea. But at some point, if you're sticking with it, it does become your passion. Mm-hmm. And if you are truly passionate about something, then that is what is building your career. That's what's building the empire that, you know, whether it's you're building a new salon or you're building a new house or you're building a family, you become very passionate about that thing, whatever it may be. And I feel like without the purpose behind it, we talked about the why a minute ago. If you don't have that, then the passion is going to go nowhere. If you don't have, you know, the love for what you're doing, it's very difficult to, it's very, very hard to build on that. So I think, to me, I think that phrase just means you have to love it. You have to be built on the love, the foundation of what you're doing, and you have to know your why. You know, it might be you're doing it for a family member, you're doing it for mom, dad, kids, whoever, just to prove that, like, you're breaking generational curses, you're doing different things, and you want better for yourself. But without that purpose, without that why, then I don't think that it can be built with passion.
Gotcha. So passion is only going to take you so far.
Yeah.
You know, it can get you started. It can probably get you, you know, the first 2 chapters of your life, of the story that you're writing. But once that passion dies down,
and it does,
you know, because you can only go off passion for so long.
Yes.
You know, that fuel will eventually burn out.
Yes.
And now you have to have purpose behind the passion, you know. So I agree with you on that. How has the beauty industry changed since you started in 2011? And how do you prepare your students for what's next?
I think a lot of it starts with us as educators and instructors. And if we don't have the drive or the want to really show them new things, then it goes back to my why. It goes back to, you know, I opened this school and I created all of this because I wasn't getting what I felt like I should have gotten out of school.
Right.
So I personally feel like all of my instructors should have that drive. And we have monthly meetings at the beginning of every month. You know, that's something that I go back to. I'm like, find that. You have to find your drive and you have to pass that down to your students. You can't go in and teach halfway or go in and spill all your problems to your students. You have to go in passionate every single day and get them excited and willing to learn new things. So that's one of the things that I think is so special is, as an educator, you have the power to give more to these students and instill in yourself. And if you're instilling all of these things in yourself and you're passionate about what you're doing, then you're going to want to learn more and you can pass that on to your students. So I do feel like it does start with educators and instructors making sure that they have the tools that they need to pass down to their students.
Okay. So how do you prepare them for like something that's coming? Like, how do you kind of, you know, let them know about the journey that's ahead? And let's say you see a trend that's coming. Do you teach them that trend, or like how does that work as far as like getting them ready for like what's next or something that's new?
So as an educator, I think that attending hair shows is very important.
Okay.
I think that attending any webinar that we can is important.
Okay.
I believe that doing any type of like mini class to prepare them for those things are important. So with barbering, for instance, if there's a new trend, a new style, and my barbering instructor is comfortable doing that and he is prepared for doing that, then I will have him like set up a mini class and do that class for them. But like I said, I think that it starts with the educator, and I think that we have to prepare ourselves and get the students excited about what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to barbering, what new trends have you seen over the past couple of years? Like what could you possibly do? I know you got fades and all this different kind of styles, but what is there different about barbering over the past couple of years that you noticed?
It's a lot more maintenance for men, I've noticed. especially the beards. We didn't see that a whole lot in 2010, 2011. And now I think that there's a lot more maintenance that comes with men's and haircuts. And, I feel like we're almost taking it back to earlier barbering days of like the hot towel.
Yes.
I feel like we lost that for a while.
We did.
And the straight razor. And so now we're trying to bring all that back and instill that. They're very interested in designs.
True.
So that's something that they get taught a lot. But it's cool. They have all of the things that we did not have in 2010, 2011. Facebook was, kind of more, you posted like you do on Twitter. You posted like what you're doing for the day. You didn't see the videos pop up of like the new trends and things like that. And now you have TikTok and Snapchat and all of these things where they're seeing all of these new trends. So for us, it's easy to pick up on new trends because our students will come to us and they'll say, hey, have you seen this? Or, hey, I saw this last night on TikTok. I saved it. Can you show me how to do it?
Yeah.
So if we're prepared and we're doing our job, then it's easy for us to say, oh, yeah, let me show you how to do that real quick.
I know I got married 14 years ago, and Beijing for black men was something that was kind of popular. It was like I don't know if it was, I guess it was a dye almost. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was on my beard in my wedding picture. It was like perfect, right? And then years later, now they got like the hair follicles and, and all different kind of things. And so, I've seen some things that's different, and the price.
Yeah.
Like some barbers, and like I be watching these videos, like $200 haircuts.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Like, what are you doing?
I do tell them, like, pump the brakes on some social media things. I think it's great in some aspects. So that part of changing, that's been kind of hard because it's like, in a way it's good, but in a way it's, you see these things and you see, let's say, an 8-hour color transformation, but we've got it condensed into a 30-second video. That's all they see. They don't see the in-between stages. They don't see the behind the scenes. They don't see them taking a lunch break or, so that part can be hard because it's like false reality.
Yeah.
It's like they're seeing these things and they they want it so quick and they want it so fast. And it's hard to explain to them, like, it's not going to happen that quick.
Gotcha.
Or you're not going to make $100,000 your first few months into business. But they're seeing all these people from California, New York, and like bigger states. And they're like, oh, I can be a billionaire doing hair. And it's like, you have to really work. Yeah. You have to work hard.
Another thing that I noticed was, like, back when I was growing up, going to the barbershop with my dad, there was no appointments for men to get hair.
That's been a big one.
Now it's like appointment only most of the time, and it cut down like on all the waiting time, all the people just sitting in your office, or your shop, just sitting there, just talking, just wasting time. Yeah. You can kind of control, the uncontrollables more. Yeah. But also I would think as a barber, it also pretty much allows you to really be able to count your finances better because like I got it scheduled out for the next 2 weeks, and you have some people that come every week or bi-weekly, and you can just pencil it in. It's like boom. So I know I got a better idea of the amount of money that I'm actually going to be making. So what made people switch in your mind to appointments as far as a barbering?
I really believe COVID had a lot to do with that. Okay. I think it had a huge effect on our industry. You have to think our industry is one of the only other ones other than healthcare where we're like physically touching people all day long. Yeah. And I really, truly believe that kind of made all of us take a step back and look at the way we were doing things and overworking ourselves. And we were like, why are we doing all this crazy stuff that, no other industry does, but we feel like it's necessary to take people, just walk in when you can. Yeah. We're sitting there waiting on you all day. And nobody else is doing that. And it can be very tiring. So I really think that, and I think social media had a huge part in that. during that time.
Okay. Well, that's cool. So how do you balance everything that you have going on with your family life? Like, what does that look like?
Well, number one, and I'm sure a lot of people would tell you this, I'm a terrible, terrible texter. And I'm very terrible about answering my phone because if I'm not in the building or if I'm not like in my car running errands without my kids, if my kids are in my presence or I'm at home, I'm not doing anything business related.
Okay.
So, and I think a lot of that came from, I built this business before I had a family.
Okay.
And I worked, and I told myself after you have kids, like all this is going to end. So that's why I waited and I put kids on the back burner, was because I wanted to do all of the things that I could do in my early 20s to prepare for my family.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is that once you're home, you're all in.
Yes.
Okay. So what time do you normally get home?
6.
6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of late, ain't it?
Well, it's about 6:30.
6:30, man.
6:30, yeah.
So what time you leave the house?
So my kids are actually starting pre-K and kindergarten this year.
Yeah.
So we've never really been on a schedule.
Okay.
They are at Mars Hill in Florence, and they've been there since they were infants.
Okay.
And we don't have to have them dropped off until 9:30.
Okay.
So we typically don't wake up until about 8, leave the house around 9, drop them off at 9:30, and then my day at the school doesn't typically start until about 10:30.
Okay.
So I do have a normal 7-hour-ish day.
Okay. I was just wondering, so you spend more time with them in the morning.
I do, but our whole world is about to change because they're starting to pre-K and kindergarten.
Yeah.
So
It's gonna be a big difference.
yeah, it's going to be crazy. I don't know that I'm prepared for it, but
You'll adjust.
yeah. So I'm about to become a morning person, but I'm typically not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what does your husband do for a living?
He works for Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Yeah. He's been there close to the same amount of time that I've had the school. So almost 8 years.
All right. And you said you're 32. You have a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Yes.
And how long have you been married?
We got married in 2016, so 9 years.
9 years. Okay. So you're able to balance all that out with the husband, with the kids, with the cosmetology school.
And my poor husband, he is a trooper.
Okay.
He just sits back and he just watches.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're going to have the right partner.
Yes.
Especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So.
And for a long time, it was like I wanted him to have that fire. I was like, why does he not have that fire that I have? Like the urge to just do something.
Yeah.
And it really bothered me for a long time. We dated for about 4 years before we got married. And I think it took me, obviously growing up a little bit, because I was 19 when we started dating. I think it took me growing up a little bit and just realizing like a lot of people don't have that same spark that we have. But that's what makes it work.
Yeah.
So I really love that. It makes a good dynamic.
Yeah, because
he just watches.
let's just say if he was like you, so that's basically what you was trying to get him to be.
Yes. Yeah.
And then he's out hustling all the time. He doesn't have time for the family.
Yeah.
He doesn't have time, to pay attention to you.
Then that would probably make me mad.
Right. So it's like you got to find that balance, because if you're the one out, being the entrepreneur, somebody has to be doing something else,
right.
That's a little bit more, I would say, consistent, where it's stable, like, hey, this is going to be here. This is someone that is just solid at what he's doing.
Right.
And you can go out here and start another business and go for broke, that's what entrepreneurs do, so you don't want two people going for broke,
It's funny you said that. So when I opened, a quick little story, when I opened the salons, I opened 2 of them in the same month of 2023.
Okay.
And we were going to set everything up. He was meeting me there, and we were going to put some chairs together. And he called and he was like, I'm here. Where are you at? And I was like, I'm looking. I had got out of my car. I was walking around the building. I was like, you are not here. I was like, do you have the wrong address? And he was like, no. And he sends me a picture of the salon. And I was like, no, I'm at the other salon. And he said, what other salon? I was like, oh, I didn't tell you. He was like, no. He's like, yeah, no, you sure didn't.
Yeah. So let's just keep that to one. Now, once you get all this, everything's smooth and everything's operating right, then you can, let him go out there and branch. But if he don't want to, that's just not.
Yeah, like it's not.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like being an entrepreneur is not for everybody.
Yeah, it's hard.
Especially when you first get it started. You're pretty much working more hours as a self-employed or entrepreneur than you were on your 9 to 5.
Right.
Until you build it.
Yes.
And it gets tough.
And I think that's the only reason that I can wind down at 6 o'clock and I can say no more, because I did that for so long. And I think a lot of people see that I do stop at 6 o'clock and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to do that. And I'm like, it takes, the building years, and you have to have those fundamentals and those building blocks and those learning curves. And all of that is so important in the beginning. And I'm like, you might be able to make it work if you only work Monday through Friday in the salon. But for me personally, I had to do the Saturdays. I had to do the Sundays. I had to do the late nights. I remember some nights it would be 11, 12 o'clock before I got home. And I did that for years. 18, 19 until I was, just salon years, 18, 19 until about 25, 26. There was years and years that it was just the grind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think people don't really truly understand how hard that grind is for that season of your life, because they see you now.
Yes.
And it's like, oh man, she got it made. She's always had, like, no, you don't. You have no clue of how hard it was, how tough it was, the things I had to sacrifice,
And the times that you're by yourself, that's the hardest. When you don't have enough money to pay the team, because it's just you, yourself, and everybody's like, hire somebody. And I'm like, with what money?
Right.
How am I going to hire somebody? So it took years. Like, I didn't just wake up, decide to open a cosmetology school, and now I have a big staff and tons of students. Like, that took years and years to build.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't think about that, and they don't see that. So I just tell everybody, I'm like, keep in mind the first few years of owning your own business. And essentially, even if you're behind the booth at another salon, you're still running your own business. True. But keep in mind that there's going to be late nights, there's going to be weekends, there's going to be early mornings, and there's going to be a lot of times you just have to go back to your purpose and why you are doing what you're doing.
I like that. That's good. You can definitely feel your passion behind it, because like I said, if you don't have that passion and that purpose and that strong enough why, eventually you will fold, you will quit. And I know you've probably seen quite a few people come through your school and also that start off as being professionals in this industry and they don't make it.
Right. And that's hard. Like I said, it's very hard to see.
Yeah.
It's discouraging because you do see potential that they don't see.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Ooh, got one more question for you. Okay. So looking back at your journey, what has been the most rewarding moment for you?
The most rewarding. I believe that there are a lot of things throughout my journey that in the moment were like, oh, that's the most special. Okay. But then it's like it gets better. Right. And then you're like, oh, well, that moment was better than that moment. But they're all important and they're all special. And I feel like you have the graduations and you have the little stepping stones where you're like maybe watching somebody do a haircut and it clicks and it's like, oh, like that's how I do that. Like those moments are special and they're important. But there are big moments where they graduate and they open their own salon.
Sweet.
That's where it's very, very heartwarming for me. Another one is friendships. So if I'm scrolling on Facebook and I have somebody that graduated 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and they're getting married and their maid of honor is somebody that they went through this cosmetology school journey with, that is huge for me. That's a big one.
Okay.
We have a barbering student and a cosmetology student right now that are dating. And I wish the best for them. I'm rooting for them. But I'm like, how special if like one day I get to go to their wedding.
Right.
You know, and I've attended a lot of my students' weddings and baby showers and special things like that. So I think it's the after school moments. I don't think it's the in school moments, but it's the after part that is so special to me. It's like it hits you. It's like, oh, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I did get to go to Utah last year and teach a class for a big school. And that was a pretty big moment for me too, as an educator, to go and do something like that so far away and feel like I make an impact.
Yeah.
Because now I see like their posts and like they're liking all of our stuff and commenting on all of our stuff. And we plan to go back and do another class. But knowing that those things are in the future, and that I was able to do that, that was kind of a milestone too.
It's nice.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
I would love to open another school. So that is next on the bucket list.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where are you going to open this? Where do you want to open this one?
I don't want to do it in this area. Probably closer to Madison,
Okay.
Huntsville. Yeah. That's the plan.
And is this industry still growing? Like, what's the outlook as far as?
Oh, yeah. There's still plenty of room for the industry and growth. And what a lot of people don't see is in our area, they say that we have a lot of students. However, not all of those students are from here.
Gotcha.
So I have a lot from like Savannah, Tennessee, Iuka, Mississippi, places like that.
Yeah.
So I think that is, important to know too, that not all of them are just like congregated here. They have other places that they're going. So it's not oversaturated in our area.
Okay.
Especially the other ones like aesthetics, nails, barbering.
Yeah.
Cosmetology, there's a ton of stylists, but it's still growing. There's still a lot to do. But I do see myself, hopefully, this is long term. This is probably like 5-10 years because I don't know how long the process is going to take. But my dad was in and out of jail my whole life. So something very special to me is working with, doing my community service and working with people that are maybe in rehab. He was in rehab at one point, and getting those people back on their feet. So we're in the process of accreditation right now. And what that means is that we're able to get our foot in places that this little private school in Florence, Alabama can't get their feet into.
Gotcha.
So accreditation just makes us more like a national thing. So growing and us going into other states is a possibility. Like I said, that would be a long way away. But I do want to work with the prison systems in Alabama. And I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because obviously I feel like it would be new. We don't have anything like that. But somehow getting something like that set up to where after they get out, there's some sort of hope for them. If my dad wasn't a brick mason, if he didn't have that trade, that specialty, I think he would have been a lot worse than he was. Mm-hmm. But he had that little glimpse of hope of like, hey, I have this trade. I can build. I can do things. I can move mountains if I just stick to this trade and I do this thing. And I want that hope for other people.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. How many students do you normally have enrolled?
We have about 50 right now.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So is your enrollment always open, or is it like set, like you take a class at a time, or how does that work?
So we have classes every quarter. It's January, April, July, October.
Okay.
And all of our programs open up those dates.
Okay.
So we have a class starting next week for July, and those classes are all of our programs.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're all able to start and get going.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that most barbers can draw. Is that
Yes.
true?
Yes. My barbers and my nail students are the most artistic.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm very, very impressed with what they do. Like, I'll be walking down the hall and like glance over into the barbering classroom and see what they're doing. And I'm like, wow, that's like, how? Where did you? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that like most of the barbers that I've been to, 95% of them, they can draw.
Yes.
And one of them he told me, like, I think my cousin, he told me, he was like, man, fading is just like, I think, what did he call it when he was drawing? It was like shadowing or like shading. It's almost the same thing as fading. He's like, when I'm fading somebody's hair, I'm just blending it in. He's like, when I color from dark to light here, he's like, it's the same concept. And I was like, okay, yeah, I ain't no artist. I don't know, but it made sense to a point. But that was something that I noticed as well. Is there anything else you want to leave with the audience before we close it out?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
Okay, well, tell them where they can find you at, the name of your business, name of your school, salons. Just kind of give the closing, and then I'll close us out.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize that for the 7.5, 8 years that we were in Sheffield, we were actually Meraki Academy of Cosmetology. So when they step foot at our new location, which is now Modern Academy of Cosmetology, they will be like, oh yeah, there's that school in Sheffield, Meraki. And I'm like, oh, well, that's actually us. So we have people call all the time that were like, is this Marika? Is this Meraki? Is this Merachi? And so after like years of that, I was like, you know what? Nobody can pronounce it, but Meraki was special, and I have it tattooed on my arm, so it will forever be a part of me. But it means to leave a piece of yourself in your work. So still very special to me, and we still have things that say Meraki on them. But I was like, we're moving to a new building, a new location, fresh start. My salons were named Modern. So they're all 3 modern hair salons.
Okay.
So that's why I was like, we'll just have this one brand of just modern hair, or Modern Academy. So that's where that came from. But the salons, I have one in North Florence in the 7 Points area, one in downtown Florence on the corner of Pine and College Street.
Okay.
And then I have one in Killen on Highway 72. The school is located at 505 North Seminary. So we are downtown across from Pickett Place.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that is the end of the episode. We want to thank Ms. Lindsay Hughes for dropping by on tonight. Excellent. Excellent. Love your story. Love your energy. Love your passion.
Thank you.
Love your purpose behind what you're doing.
Thank you.
And just keep doing what you're doing. And we wish you nothing but the best. If you guys need to get your hair hooked up, nails hooked up, makeup hooked up, skin hooked up,
yeah,
or if you're looking to go to school, reach out to the owner of Modern Academy Cosmetology, Miss Lindsay Hughes. All right, that's our time. You guys be blessed. We out.
Thank you.